who would win in a fight? The Boys style temp V serum injected into Joe Biden's veins versus a straight sober Trump.
Next comic, give it loud for Anthony Eugenio. We're gonna have next comic. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to an Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne. And today we have a fantastic special guest episode for a friend of ours who is a comedian out there in the world. Right now he's living in Iowa, but he's been all over the fucking place we're going to talk about. He's got a website, NathanTimmel.com. Also has a special online, Unapologetic, right on YouTube. You can watch that shit. Fucking hilarious. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm well. Thanks for allowing me to interrupt your podcast this week and yammer on with whatever we're going to yammer on about.
Well, the thing about it is we started the podcast and we called it Open Mic Pain because we wanted to get good comedians on who've gone through the gauntlet, who've done all the things, and ask them what their open mic experience like. And then we can only get open micers on the fucking podcast. So we're just like, all right, what's Tuesday like for you? And that's what we've been talking about. So we're really excited to get into somebody who's got the experience that you do to talk about it. But I'd be amiss if I didn't bring in my little hobbit sitting over there on the floor, basically. Wayne Russell, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing good. I like your mic choice, Nathan. Oh, you can't see it. I have the same. Thanks to Anthony, by the way.
That's right.
But yeah,
I take care of my ladies. All right, Nathan. So, what brought you into comedy? What got you into the first door? What was your first open mic lick?
Do you want me to take up the entire hour? Because this can be a really long story.
Yeah, well, we want people to like. The idea is this is a documentary for people who are just starting comedy. They're like, how the fuck do I get into it? So we want as much detail as you can.
All right. Well, I was going to go all the way back to childhood, how I got into comedy and interest there. But let's skip forward a few years because basically I started late. I graduated from college and had no clue what I wanted to do. Well, I had a clue. I was in a band all through college, and we started to have very minor success. Have you ever heard of something called the College Music Journal?
No.
I don't know if it still exists, but back then, it'd be like the Billboard charts for colleges with independent radio stations. They would all submit the songs, the indie bands or whatever bands they were playing, and we put out an EP and started charting in a few colleges. Now, keep in mind, this is small. Like, say St. Louis has 10 universities. We made it to number like 5 on one of them, so it's not like but it was like that first step. And then we started fighting as to what the second step should be. And the fights turned into everybody like, fuck this, and I quit, and they went on without me. And just small ego boost, they went nowhere without me, so I was the linchpin. But anyway, I realized once I quit that I'm a bass player, I'm no Sting. I could play bass, but I can't write songs, I can't sing. I was sort of good at arranging, but I'm no Sting, so I said, well, what can I do on my own? Oh, wait. When I was a kid, I liked stand-up comedy. So I heard about an open microphone in Milwaukee, Wisconsin called the Safe House. They allowed amateurs to take the stage for 5 minutes every Thursday night. Went down, signed up. And I'm sure you've heard people say that, I bombed the first 5 times, but I was addicted and I had to keep going back, or I bombed for 2 months. I fucking destroyed my first time on stage, and I said, oh, this is it. I'm going to be a star. I'm so good at this. This is amazing. And I went back the next week, and then I bombed for like the next 2 months. But after having that first experience of doing well, I was hooked. And yeah, that's basically all it is I heard about an open microphone, went and tried it, and that was it.
Yeah, you say that people say that they're going to bomb. Sorry, Wayne, but this is key because this drives me fucking nuts. Almost everybody that comes on, they're like, yeah, most people say that they bombed their first time, but I had a good experience. And I'm like, I did bomb my dick off. I bombed my dick off so hard the first time, and so did Wayne. He won't admit it, but he did. And
so I was going to say, so my first time, I definitely didn't kill, but I got more laughs than I would have ever thought I would get going on stage. And similar to you, the second time, I definitely bombed. I went to Japan the week after my first time on stage. So it was like 2 or 3 weeks before I got on a second time, and the whole time in Japan, I'm like, oh, I got this. I did really well. So I wrote down a bunch of shit. I came back. I did a joke about the Japanese vending machines that they have the used underwear in. And I was like, this is fucking gold. It's just like smuggling weed past your mom, smuggling vending machine panties past your... And it was done to silence.
He said it just like that, too.
I ever felt. It was just like that.
You made me think of a story. One thing I learned, I would go to a comedy club that's been gone for years, one out of business. It was called Stooges. That was my home club back in Milwaukee. And I went every weekend religiously just to study the headliners and talk to whoever would talk to me, whoever like, oh, get away from me, kid. And I don't remember the name. I don't remember anything about her. I just remember this comedian showed up, and she was from New York. And she started telling a series of jokes about the subway system. And every one was sort of along the line of, don't you hate it when you get on the subway? Or doesn't it bother you when... She didn't make it universal. I don't know if you know this, Milwaukee does not have a subway system. So she was trying to relate to the audience in a way that they could not relate. She didn't say, I live in New York, and this happened to me on the subway. Or, oh, you wouldn't believe what happens on the subway in New York. And I remember that lesson, and you reminded me of that when talking about Japan. I obviously don't know what you said or did. There's a way to do specific material that makes it universal by, oh, hey, I was just in Japan. You're not going to believe this. And there's a way not to do it, which is, these Japanese... I'm not saying which way you did it. I'm just saying that was a fantastic lesson to learn from the audience, not being on stage bombing, watching someone bomb. And I would go back Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I watched her bomb every show and not figure out, hey, I'm not connecting with these people. Maybe I should change it up. It was fascinating. And yeah, I learned a lot. There was a comic that did a joke like that. Like you learn as much watching comedy as you do performing it. It's kind of like sex.
It's funny, Dobie Maxwell in the last episode, I think it was, he had just filmed his Dry Bar special, and he had a very similar story where somebody was there doing subway jokes, and they all bombed because they don't have subways. I forget where Dry Bar is. Ohio, is it? Not Ohio.
Utah.
Yeah,
just south of Salt Lake City. Not Ogden, that's north. I forget, but...
Whew, that must be a tough fucking crowd.
That's a really good lesson. I mean, obviously, at the stage we're at, locally, everybody knows about what we're talking about because we're all living in the same spot. But when you get to a point where you're moving around, that's a very good lesson to take away.
Yeah, we're just spitballing here. I just remembered one of the best compliments I think I ever received. I remember where it was. It was at a club called the Comedy Quarter in Appleton, Wisconsin. And I finished my set, and I was a new dad. I don't remember how, but the whole point is, kid comes up to me, 21 years old, says, dude, I'm not even a dad, and that shit was funny. Because what I was doing, I was trying to say, here are my experiences, but I want to make them relatable to you even if you don't have kids. The whole thing is, I do personal material, and so the more personal you make it, the more universal it can become, as opposed to generalisms, which, isn't it crazy when, and that's not going to hit as hard.
So it sounds like connecting with the crowd, as far as we go, is pretty key to getting people to buy in, obviously. And I've realized that I have the best responses and I enjoy the show the most when the room is dark as hell, people are closest to the stage, and a spotlight is shining on me so I can barely see. And it's almost like counterintuitive to the idea of connecting with people, because in theory, shouldn't we have the lights up? Shouldn't we be looking at everybody directly in the eyes and actually connecting with the joke with them? Like, what makes the dark room better than that, if it is, in your opinion?
Well, I would liken it to listening to a podcast, although it's live. So if you are a storyteller, you are on stage and it's dark, and they're just sort of transposed. They're in a different world. They're in a different state of mind. And it's funny you talk about everyone sitting close to the stage and dark and lights on you, because I can't remember the club now. It's gone, but I could look it up in a calendar somewhere. I remember the moment I realized that I could walk into a club and say, oh, this one's going out of business. And it was just something that I should have known all along, where you walk in and the staff is telling the audience, sit wherever you want, go ahead, you can just find a table, and other little things like that, because then you have this audience that sits in a comedy club like it's a movie theater. Oh, because the movie's going to play, I can sit in the back row, I can sit in the front row. Comedy is, even if you are not interacting with the audience, it's live and it's energetic, and there's an aura that needs to be achieved, and that only happens when you have everybody pushed up front and packed in tight, so that the energy that is created is kinetic as opposed to, disparate all over the place. And so, yeah, the reason you do better is because the energy in the audience is better, is different, is electric, is alive, as opposed to audiences that just are disengaged. Nothing frustrates me more than, God, I went to a club that was opening. It was their opening weekend, and they're like, oh, you got any tips? I'm like, yeah, seat your customers. When they show up, say, welcome, here's your table. And the guy went, oh, that's it. And I explained why. Everything I said to you, I explained to him, and he went, oh, that's a really smart, good idea. I got to do that. First, people walk in, and he goes, hey, how you doing? You can go pick a table wherever you want. I'm like, not even 5 minutes. And the club went out of business, obviously. Not obviously, but it did. There are little things you can do to create a comedy atmosphere, and it's funny/sad that many comedy clubs don't even attempt it.
An interesting example of that was Anthony and I did a show in a brewery a couple weeks ago, and not the best place for a show, but we were there. It was kind of an L shape, and so you kind of picture like at the point of the L, that's where the stage was. So you had people on your left, people on your right, and one half of the L was dark, the other half had the lights on. And the half that was dark, they were engaged the whole time. They were laughing. They were having a good time. The people with the light on, they were talking, chatting. They felt a little more like, hey, this is just a place to be, and there's somebody up there doing a thing.
The problem is we got so much... Like, we have so much fucking people telling us to go do shows for them now, where we have to, we set up a 8x8 banner, we put our own spotlight, we do it, and it's in a brewery or in a restaurant somewhere. And the problem is what we're trying to do now is bring reserved pieces of paper and stuff like that to put on tables, so people, all the ones in the back do that, so that it fills up in the front, and try to seat people too. But man, it's so hard when you're working with a restaurant and they're like, yeah, we don't want to tell people where to sit, and you're like, well, it's gonna suck then. You just don't know it yet.
I had the exact same experience a couple of months ago with an L-shaped room, and it was, without the lighting, it was almost identical. So with the L, you had everybody from this point, this little rectangle down in the L, and just sit up to here and the top part of the L, and then beyond that, it was just free for all. Everybody talking, chatting, like, oh, is there a comedy show going on over in the corner? Yeah, good for them. Everybody close is engaged. Everybody far back is just talking.
Yeah, it's been interesting to learn the little ins and outs of how to set up a room and how to cut down on that chit chat and get people more engaged.
Well, yeah, it's fucking key. Along with that and a good host are the two things that really set the expectation of a comedy show. Is setting it up right, get a good host in there that can set the tone. Or a lot of the time, you think if I get a good crowd, people say I remember when we were doing open mic exclusively, people who were doing shows were like, wait till you get to real shows, you'll see if your material really works. And I would only at that point go to local shows that were really well produced. And every time I saw a real crowd, the comedians would kill. So I'm like, I feel like it's a lot easier to perform in front of real crowds until, set up right. Until you get to a real crowd that's set up with, the lights on, spread out across, and you can see 50 to 100 people hate you. We did one a couple weeks ago where we just, the promoter didn't have a big enough sound system for the venue. And so I had to scream out into people and with the lights on. And again, you have to set the right ambiance or you can't, capture the energy.
One thing you said is really important. The host is key. The last open mic I did because I wanted to. I go every so often, and a friend of mine said he was going to be there. He said, hey, you going to that? I'm like, I was thinking about it. I'll go if you go. All right, so let's just go hang out. And I don't want to go too much into detail. It was kind of annoying because they had, oh yeah, we'll put you up last. You'll be like the headliner. I'm like, no, I don't want to be the headliner of an open mic. I just want to go do my slot. I just want to be one of the comics. I'm not whatever. But the host went up and did not bring it. It was packed. They were there for the open mic, and he just walked up, hey everybody, how you doing? Hey, yeah. And I mean, if you're Stephen Wright and you can set that character and you can capture everybody, great, it works. It didn't. And then from there, because it's an open microphone, the comics were trying to find their footing and they couldn't win the crowd over. And finally, I got annoyed and admittedly pulled a dick move. I talked to those. I said, you've got to put me up soon. You don't put me up at the end. Put me up now. I got to save this audience or you will never get an open mic here again because everyone's disengaged. And he's like, really? I'm like, yes, put me up. And he said, okay, I'm going to put one more comic up, then I'll put you up. And I went up and I blew the room up. I opened with, instead of doing new material, I opened with an old bit just to like capture everyone's attention that I knew would work, and it did. And then I tried a couple new things and it was fine. And the audience, woke up and was engaged and like, oh, and then they sort of paid attention to the next couple until it drifted off again. Because again, open mics, some of the beginners not doing as well, not their fault, just getting, but yeah. And all I could think the entire time was, fuck, I should have asked to host this. I should have hosted this open mic. Just, you got to set the tone. You got to grab the audience, got to let them know what they're in for and engage them.
Well, while we're on hosting, I do have a problem that I keep asking everybody that comes on that's good at comedy. So I've been hosting a shitload of shows, and I'm used to doing showcases and that type of thing. And I find that people like me about 25% less as a host. No matter what I do, the jokes hit at about a 25% less clip. And so my question I ask every episode is, why don't people like me?
Because they are not engaged yet, and it's not your fault. It is basically, first of all, you have the stigma. Oh, this is the first comic, they're probably not that good. I mean, that's just a stigma right off the bat. Oh, they're the host, they're not that good. You have to overcome that. You can do it, too. With experience, you can walk up there and show like, oh, shit, this guy's actually really good. Holy fuck, I didn't expect that. I don't know why I'm swearing so much. I'm usually a good Christian in the audience. But I'm just, inventing a character right now. A good Christian character at an open mic. Anyway, two, they haven't paid attention yet. If at a traditional comedy show, they're still ordering drinks or getting settled in. Even at a non-traditional show, if the show starts at 8, they are still like, oh, where do I put my code? Oh, is it started? Okay, good. Well, what did you want? Did you want to get an appetizer? So that's what you have to overcome as the host, and it sucks. But that's what it is. The first compliment I ever got from a club owner at Stooges, my home club, I don't remember exactly, but basically it was good job with the announcements. Because as a host, my job was to, hey, here's the drink special. Like, I was waiting for, oh, you're really funny. Oh, you're real. But nope, I was the host, and my first compliment was good job with the announcements. Like, all right, now I know my place.
It's a thankless job. Wayne, what happened at Providence a couple weeks ago? Remember I brought you up with a nice intro and the kid didn't?
Yeah, so I took Bullet. So Anthony was host. He goes up, does a few minutes, brings me on stage with this, it's a really nice introduction because obviously we've known each other for 14 years. We did the podcast together. We've been doing this whole thing step by step together. While I'm on stage, he goes up to the number 2 comic, who he's never met before, and says, hey, what do you want me to say about you? You have any credits or anything you want me to say? He goes, no, I'm good. And I get off stage, and I go in the back, and I listen to Anthony's intro, which, what else can you say other than, this next guy's really funny, you can see him all over New England, give it up for this guy, whatever. The guy goes on stage, and then just shits on Anthony for not having a good intro for him. He's like, you can always tell when a host knows somebody. He gives them a nice intro. They've been buddies for years, blah, blah, blah. And he's a
I'm
funny
sweating
guy.
in the back with a notebook trying to think of the next guy. And I'm like, this is fucking the most thankless fucking job in the whole world.
Yeah, it's also a dick move. I remember, not going to say his name, but I remember it. Years and years ago hosting, this guy came up with he had a unique name, and he sort of spit it out, and then he had this long intro. And I said, oh, shit, can I just hit a couple of these? And he looked at me dead serious and sort of angrily like, you're going to give my entire intro and you're going to get it right. And I'm like, ha! All right then. What a dick. And from that moment forward, the instant I got my first, slot as a feature, and then it was like, what's your intro? Do whatever you want. You can get my name wrong. I don't give a fuck. Just say, here's your next comic. My intro has generally been, here's your next comic, except for the period of time where I went through for no reason. I always went up as the opening comic would say, hey, your next comic, he saved my life back in Nam. Please welcome Nathan Timmel. And audiences would either laugh or just be confused, like, he saved his life? Because, we'd be young. And, so I stopped doing that. I thought it was funny, but... I've gotten a lot of good feedback from hosts. They're like, really? That's it? Like, oh, dude, last week the guy was such a dick. I'm like, dude, you can get my name wrong. If you blank on it, like, your headliner tonight can come on out now. I'll go out and do my act. I mean, like,
it's true.
I worked with a comic again. I'm gonna say this one more time, and then I will not use any names tonight. So that way, instead of just saying, oh, I worked with another guy who I'm not going to name, because I realized I've been saying that a lot. I worked with a guy, he was the headliner, I was the feature, and the host was on stage, and he got the guy's name wrong. He goes, oh, in a couple of minutes I'm going to bring up Nathan, then we're going to bring up Bob. And I turned to him and said, your name is Bob now? He goes, yeah, watch him try that shit when he's bringing me up. I'm not going to go up on stage and get my name wrong. I'm like, dude, it's a fucking... Why? Why would you do that to the kid? Why would you purposely be a dick because he's stammering and got your name wrong? So, yeah, it becomes sort of touchy with me that people treat other people like shit. It's not necessary.
No, it definitely does. We're just all depressed little pirates in this world of fucking comedy, and all we're trying to do is plunder everybody else's ship. But it's fun. I also say every podcast that when we first started doing this, we knew that people were going to be cunts to us. That was the number one thing that we knew was going to happen, because Wayne's a huge cunt, and it draws magnetism from the orbit of people around him, and I happen to be in his orbit all the time. But we've also found that the better comedians are generally not assholes. It's weird. Like, all the shittiest ones are the biggest dicks. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we haven't got to the level yet where we can have a headliner really abuse us or anything like that. But, like, it's always a random feature act or something like that that's a dick, and you're like, who are you trying to prove this to?
That's funny. You made me think of a story. There's a club that's out of business now. I headlined it twice, I believe, maybe 3 times. And I remember the third time that the manager, don't remember his name, just a really nice dude, was talking to me. And we had been speaking for about 10 minutes, and he goes, man, it's really refreshing to see just have a nice guy come through. The owners hire such assholes. And the way he said it, I just had this thought pop in my head and go, oh shit, I'm never working here again. And I never did. Like, I tried to get back in, but the owners liked this sort of breed of asshole dick comic, and I was just sort of a nice, likable guy, and the manager wanted me back, but wasn't his call. And it was just funny. Like, usually they hire such assholes, and I don't know if they were trying me out, but like, the one comment I got from the owner one time was, you weren't as dark as I thought you'd be. Like, do you hire just dark comics, or are you looking for a variety on stage? I don't know. It was just weird vibes, weird club.
Well, you heard it here, folks. You should be a fucking asshole to the club owners when you get there. Just to make sure they're paying attention, you ask for something really weird in your room.
No.
Do you have a cool writer? What do you got?
Staff. Apparently, for those owners, you have to be a dick to the wait staff and the managers, and then the owners will like you. But I think hopefully that was a rare set of owners.
Yeah, I don't know how. Like, if anything, it's like the people who yell at the like the chef and the waitress at a restaurant. You're like, they're cooking your food, dude. Like, are you understand what's going on here? Do you get the scenario what you're going with? Those same people are the comedians that are shitty to the wait staff. You need them.
And if they're not shitty, I don't understand the. There's one guy. His entire act was about his marriage, and then he hit on the wait staff between shows. And what he didn't realize is that one of the waitresses was the owner's daughter, and she's like, he's lucky I don't fire him right now. Like, he's never coming back. He's like, just behave yourself. That's all you have to do. It's so easy to just go in, be a normal person, do your job, and leave. It is a job. I mean, I know when I started out, I had this big, like, I am an artist. This is my art bullshit thing going on. No, it's a job. You're a liquor monkey. That's literally all it is you are a liquor monkey.
Yeah, that's true. Make them drink. That's for goddamn sure. So we've had we've been a year and 4 months or something like that in. Wayne will know the number better than me. And so we're just starting to most weekends we're getting shows now, which is awesome, and we're doing a lot of them. But it seems primarily we're working with local production companies who are putting on shows, and like we said, breweries and restaurants and stuff like that. There are comedy clubs out here. I'm sure you know some of them. Nick's Comedy Stop, Laugh Boston, Giggles, all that stuff. Now, do you recommend as a comedian that your route should be try to get into one of those clubs and try to work onto their shows? Is that like getting to the shows and just watching them and, like you said, trying to get in with the people? Or do you think the regional route of these local production companies of just putting on randomized shows work too? Like, it sounds like you got in with the club and it worked out well for you.
I'll just tell you my story. I fucked up in Los Angeles. I fucked up. All my fault. People like to say LA is brutal, and it is, but I went out there and learned the hard way, only in retrospect. To people that don't know me, I'll just tell you really quick. I was in Los Angeles, I was doing the comedy thing, and I was touring through Iowa, and there was a woman in the audience, and she stalked me on MySpace, and now we're married and have kids. So that's why I moved to Iowa. I did it for love. It's a wonderful story. Was that a fresco
Gotcha.
I just saw?
Hell yeah. I love Fresca.
Now I want to watch The Boys.
You know what I thought when I grabbed the Fresca? I was like, man, Nate is like Fresca white. He is like, I know that his family had a whole separate fridge for Fresca when you guys were younger.
No Fresca here, just a good Boys reference. I want to watch The Boys. Anyway, I went to the Improv, the Hollywood Improv on, what boulevard is that on? I've forgotten. Either way, it's the famous Improv in Los Angeles. I passed my audition. They said, good job. Here's a phone number. You call in every Monday with your avails. We'll try and get you a slot. Like, great. And I did. I called every single Monday. Never got a slot. You know what I didn't do? I didn't go there and hang out every fucking night and get FaceTime and let people get comfortable with me and get to know me so that when they did have a slot, oh yeah, there's that Timmel kid. Let's put him up. Oh, hey, Timmel was here last night. He's called in. I just became a message on a machine. Hey, my name's Nathan Timmel. Here I can be around Thursday, Friday this week if you want me. So I don't know much about the new breed of comedy that I find very fascinating, and I like what you guys are doing. I think it's great to start be a startup company. Basically, is what you're like Silicon Valley of comedy. I would say keep doing that. I don't know how powerful the clubs are in Boston. If you were in New York, I would say absolutely pick Caroline's or the corner, and just fucking go there every single night, because that's how all of them did it. That anybody in New York just goes to one club, gets known, and then you have this little, everybody knows everybody. It's like Cheers. So yeah, I didn't do it. I don't know how well the do-it-yourself route will work, but I do know that the path I didn't choose did not work. So if anybody wants to learn from my mistakes, get to New York, pick a club, and go. And I say New York because if you're interested in acting, then go to Los Angeles. They do have the clubs there. You can pick the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store, or Improv. But I found Los Angeles a bit watered down. I found everybody there was a comedian, voiceover actor, and hand model. Oh, I'm an actor and a comedian, and I do a dog walking business on the side. Oh, they had all these hyphens, and I was just interested in comedy. And from what I understand, New York is more comedy-centric. East Coast is more comedy. So if you want to get discovered as a comedian to be acting, get into acting, go to Los Angeles. If you are a purist, go to New York.
That seems to be a common thread with everybody we've had on. It's mostly networking, in any direction where you want to get. So whether you're going to the same club every night, or we've had some of these local bookers that are putting on the shows in the different breweries and different theaters or whatever. They say, if on Friday or Saturday night you're not doing anything, don't go find some random ass open mic. Come to my show. I'm not going to charge you. Come in, talk to the comics, talk to me, get to know me. I mean, we say that till we're blue in the face here.
It's true. It is interesting though, because obviously I was researching when I first started the Comedy Store and all those type of things, where like name a comedian, even the Carlos Mencia. If you listen to his first story, it's his first set was at the Comedy Store, and he stayed there for years before he started. I don't know why I brought him out of the dark with that. Because I know that's what he did. Obviously, don't do what he did. But when we got into it,
worked for him for a while. If you want short-term success, why not?
It's true. It did. I'm going to start doing Wayne's material. Mang, and I'll just say Mang at the end. Something Mang. And then when I started in Boston, I targeted a place called Nick Comedy Stop, because I know Louis C.K. started, all these people, that was some of their club. And I really wanted to be on it. And then I looked at the local headliners, the big ones that are out here, Lenny Clark, all the ones, Christine Hurley. And I realized that they do the circuit. Like, they don't stay at a club. They're all over the place doing these, like you said, brewery shows, or sometimes small clubs, or if they get together 3 or 4 of them, they'll do a theater. And I'm like, man, maybe, like, I see openers on theirs. I don't notice anybody's name at Nick's. I don't know any of them that are there. I don't know, maybe Wayne, you know differently than me, but it just seems out here it's not the way to do it. Just maybe the production companies are. You follow the headliners is what I'm trying to do. Is go to the good guys and be under them.
Maybe the paradigm has changed. Maybe the dynamic has shifted. I would like that. I think it should be more merit based than elbow grease and glad handling. But who knows?
I like the idea of the production companies, mainly because we've gotten to perform in a lot of different places. Some of them less desirable than others, but it's almost like
learn more from those.
You learn a lot from those because you're getting a variety of audience. I think that wouldn't necessarily travel to go to a Nick's Comedy Stop or a Giggles or a Laugh Factory or something like that. You're getting patrons of a place that go, oh, there's going to be comedy. So somebody that's not necessarily seeking out comedy, but maybe stumbles across it. So you kind of get maybe a set of fresh ears from time to time, I think, is instead of comedy snobs, maybe.
Well, you also get people at a comedy club are there to see comedy. That's why they went. Mm-hmm. When you do it at the brewery, you get people that may just show up or have heard about it. Like, it's not guaranteed that they're there to see it. And if you have to work to win them over, that is good cutting your teeth.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with there's a few people have said it, but as long as it's a ticketed event, I feel like we've had a lot more success. If you have those free shows, then you get the chatty Cathys in the back, and you get the people, the hecklers, and you still get the hecklers, but I think it's Chatty Cathy, yeah.
Well, you get the ticketed event. They're invested. We had I remember the first open mic, the one at the Safe House and at Stooges. Maybe the Safe House didn't charge anything, but I know Stooges, when they would do it, it was like $3 Thursday or something. I said, even if it's only $3, even if it's nothing, they're still reaching for their wallet, and that sort of adds it adds just a trigger, like, oh, I paid for this. Even if a modicum, it still settles them down just a touch.
I learned that at a young age because I used to I teach people how to grow weed for a living, and I have stores where I sell them the stuff to grow the weed, and so that's what I do when I'm not doing comedy. And I used to teach classes and have people go to them. And when I did free sign-up sheets for my classes, they would fill, like all the slots would fill in. And then half of the people would show up, or they would show up and be disengaged. I started charging $5 and then giving them a store credit for the $5 in it because I wanted it to be free, but I just wanted them to have skin in the game. And it was half the people that signed up, but every single person showed up, and they were great students. So there's something to that. You have to have some kind of skin in the game. Yeah. Okay, new tangent, because I know that you have expertise in this next question. So who would win in a fight? The Boys style Temp V serum injected into Joe Biden's veins versus a straight, sober Trump? Who's winning?
I mean, Biden, just because of the serum. I mean, that the serum is going to get Trump. If you put him head to head, not Biden. You give him the serum, Biden.
I don't know, because this is why it's crazy. Biden is so goddamn old and frail that the serum is just going to bring him up to maybe normal capacity. Like, I'm not saying that he's gonna, Superman. He's just gonna probably just gonna keep him alive. Really, he's probably on that right now as we speak. But you're picking Biden.
I can see that argument, but I still, when you're taking a serum that basically allows you to lift a car, it could give him enough to punch through the Trump fat and knock him down.
I think you're overlooking an important thing here. How many Bugs Bunny ice cream cones does Trump have to distract Biden?
Isn't Trump the one that be? Well, I know Biden likes ice cream, but Trump is the fat one. So these are fascinating questions. These are the ones Trump's to delve into because you really have to break it down. It's the whole Carlin bit. Could God create a rock so big he can't lift it? You have to really think these things through. What are the Biden weaknesses? The fact that he can't stand or walk without assistance. What are the Trump weaknesses? The fact that he is so ADHD that Biden could go squirrel and Trump would look, and then Biden would
pocket sand him.
Well, throw a punch that misses, but the pocket sand would be better. Yeah.
So also Biden's got body doubles, the most maybe in the history of the United States. Have you seen all the pictures of them side by side?
Jim Carrey, right? Jim Carrey plays Biden.
Jim Carrey plays Biden.
That's the conspiracy theory out there.
I'm glad you quantified that or qualified it by saying in the United States, because nobody had more body doubles than Saddam Hussein. That was the body double king.
Yeah, they didn't save him though when it came down to it. I'm hoping Biden's would be, like. Have you seen the new season of The Boys? Or have you even watched it?
No, I'm going to let it get a few episodes in because nothing frustrates me more than, no, I got to wait a week.
It is the worst. But one of the bad guys, he splits himself into pieces. He has a huge penis, too. I don't know why it matters, but he does. And he splits himself into multiple people. So I'm wondering if Biden and his big penis could split himself into a couple people and take the shit out of Trump. I think so.
Big flaccid penis. Let's be real here.
The guys, you have to show flaccid on TV for some reason.
I'm just saying, I don't think Biden can get it up anymore.
Serum. Maybe that's the only thing it does. Could you imagine
if he uses the popsicle stick from the Bugs Bunny ice cream, some duct tape?
That's what I said I would use in my bit, is that popsicle sticks and Scotch tape. My buddy that's taking Viagra right now and ashamed of it.
There's another way. Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
go ahead, Wayne. I've taken us down the hill. Take us out of the hill.
Well, since you brought that up, Anthony mentioned you do have a special on YouTube. Is it only on YouTube? Do you have it elsewhere? Or
I basically push YouTube. I'm trying to get it on Amazon, and wow, their customer support is non-existent. I have everything ready, but I get one error that says I have to upload a file. But it doesn't tell me how to make the file or what format. And when I email customer support, it takes them 10 days to respond, oh, you need this file. And so I have literally today sent them an email saying, please tell me exactly what kind of file, what format, how I can do it, because I have everything ready to go, but you're telling me I'm missing something. Like, every time I get it ready, I get a check mark like, oh, you haven't filled out your bank forms. Yes, I have. Not for England. Well, then fuck it. I don't want it in England. Like, just put it out. So YouTube, it's easy. It's universal. It's everywhere on YouTube. I tried to put it on the Roku channel, and I got everything filled out, and I got approved, and they said, yeah, just put it on. And when I tried to upload it, it said, oh, it's too big. And I said, all right, what are you looking for? How can we get this big product on there? And they never responded. So I'm like, I get it. Everybody's trying to put their shit everywhere, but it'd be nice if you could just respond to customer support.
Yeah, hear that, Amazon? You fucking bitches.
I'm a Prime member. Pay you fuckers over whatever you charge for your yearly subscription to Prime so I can get my free delivery of items that have been, priced up by $2 to cover that free delivery.
So where I was going with that, I might be able to help you with that Amazon thing. Maybe. Degrees of separation. Degrees of separation. I know somebody who knows somebody who has put a special out.
All right, email me on the side after this is over. Message me and we can chat.
He can't do anything for you.
I might be able to get you in touch through a third party with somebody who knows who has put a special out. I'm not naming names. as we've established.
Anthony, that was your moment to say he can't even grow hair. You think he can help you on Amazon? Boom! That would have been
All my hair is covered by
you
my
could've just
clothes.
hit him with that
I
right
was just
there.
blinded by
Personal
the
attack.
sheer ignorance. I'm usually really quick on my feet, but I've never seen him. That's like him going up to like Brad Pitt, and he's like, "I heard you're having a hard time with Angelina Jolie. I think I got something there for you." I totally can. You dumb piece of shit.
I'm still
So
gonna help
wait.
you, Nathan.
I love Brad Pitt, but that was all his fault. I mean, the same with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, okay, dude, you're 50,
I've never
25,
disagreed with
she's
you
a bad
more.
actress, she's stupid, you're a moron. Pitt, she's making out with her brother and wearing vials of blood. You know she's crazy going in. It's like these people are blinded by stupid. Love Brad Pitt, love Johnny Depp. All their fault. They made that dumb choice. They knew going, yeah. Oh,
That's true.
I'm double her age. This will work out. No, it won't. Shut up.
She was Laura
know.
Croft, though.
Oh, she's in Crane. Yeah, she. But Michael Fassbender's girlfriend was also Laura Croft. Horrible movie. Much more attractive. Oh my God,
yeah.
she is.
Yeah.
Can't think of her name.
She's for the new world. That's for goddamn sure.
So going back off the tangent, how far into comedy before you decided?
Well, no, Wayne. This is. I'm sorry. We need to stay on this for a second because I do have something here. I feel like Brad Pitt lost Angelina Jolie because he punched her in the face, and I feel like Johnny Depp might have also lost Amber Heard for punching her in the face. And I'm wondering if these women are saying that they're cool with getting punched in the face initially, then once it happens, they're reneging on it and getting them in trouble. And in that case, wouldn't you say, Nathan, that that's unfair?
I do not know about the verification of the punching in either situation. The tapes of Amber and Johnny, that seemed a little Sid Vicious and Nancy, sort of like, oh, you're both doing this nonsense. And Angelina, as we've already said, is insane. I mean,
Yeah.
John Voight's her dad. She's insane. So
She Billy Bob
wouldn't put
Thornton
you past her
for a
to
long
lie.
time.
I don't think many people would cover for Pitt if he was as big an asshole as she tries to make him out to be. It's like you have everybody saying, oh, Brad Pitt's a really nice guy, and crazy woman saying, no, he's mean and abusive. Believe all women, maybe not believe Angelina. I don't know. I don't follow it that closely.
Well, you also get the unfair advantage of like I love Wayne so much. He's like a brother to me. But I would ceremonially murder him if it made Brad Pitt even slightly happy. Because he's so attractive.
He is. He was on every guy's okay if I have to list. Like gun to my head and I have to choose one, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there could be a water gun. I'm fucking in. All right, Wayne, you can take us out now. I got what I needed.
How far into comedy before you decided to film that special? I don't think we talked about your beginnings in comedy, but I don't think we talked about how.
I don't
want to date you, but
I'm going to answer a different question because I'm deep into comedy. I'm 20 years into this. So the question you're really asking is how far into comedy before I released my first CD, my first album, and oh shit, that fucker is buried because like anybody, I did that too fast. Oh man, I've been doing comedy probably a year. I'm so good. I'm going to record a bunch of sets and stitch them together. And I listen back to that. I mean, there are some ideas there that I like, oh, I can see it. But man, you do everything too fast sometimes. And yeah, my second album moving forward, I think I've got 7 albums out now. 8 if you count the new one. I turned the special, I ripped the audio and did either way. Yeah, you do everything too fast. So the special, the time was right. It was everybody had been doing their own for a while. Netflix ain't knocking on any doors. HBO. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm gonna invest my own money. Had a decent chunk of change saved up. Found a really good Blue Sky Productions in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Super affordable. A lot of people like, holy fuck, they only charged you that? It looks like a $12,000 production. 6 or I'm trying to remember how many cameras they shot. They used 6 to 8 cameras. They had one handy cam, several steady. You know, I waited for the special. And it took me 2 years to finalize it. I knew I wanted to do it, and every time I try and set it up, something would fall apart. Like, this is my own little personal rant. Holy fuck, businesses. This goes back to what I was talking about, responding to email with Amazon. I was stunned by the number of businesses that just don't respond to inquiries. You go to their website and it says, hey, reach out to us, ask us a question, get a quote. And so I would find all these production companies. Oh, I'm going to this city. Let's look up a production company and see if they can come film my special. I love that club. Funny Stop in Cuyahoga Falls. This is who I am. This is what I want. Hey, doing a follow-up. Are you a fucking shell company for the mafia? Why are you... So many production companies just wouldn't respond. And so when I just sort of dumbfucked my way into this one. A friend of mine, Booker, that I've known for forever, said, oh, the comedy club in Cedar Rapids went out thanks to COVID. Fuck you, COVID. So now he's sort of doing one-off shows in a small theater/music tavern, and it's a beautiful room. And he said, yeah, I'm going to try and do quarterly something, just keep comedy alive. Do you want to do a show? I said, fuck yeah, I do. Went actually out to the open mic at the comedy club that went out of business recently, straight to the venue to check it out, walked in the door and said, holy shit, I have to film my special here. This is why it didn't work out all those other times. Googled Blue Sky, Googled production company Cedar Rapids, wrote to Blue Sky, they wrote back, and yeah, it took 2 years of false starts and no starts, but it was great because I just kept practicing the set, and it was nice because I got the booking in, I'm going to say March or April, for a November date, I believe it was. It was a November date. Yeah, it was early November, like November 3rd. So once I knew it was locked in, I had all summer to just do that set, do that set, do that set. And I still fucked it up a couple places, but what are you going to do? And that set, for the way, was a one-off. It wasn't 2 shows edited together. I did the best I could to get it out in one take, and that's why there are fuck-ups in it.
You did a fantastic job. I didn't even notice them. Real quick to go back to what you were saying about companies and customer service. Literally was having that conversation today. I work for a cutting tool distributor, so we deal with a lot of different vendors. And one of the guys in our office today literally called a vendor and asked for help, and they said, we can't help you. We're too short-handed to be assisting people at the moment. And I was like, wow, that's what you're there for.
Yeah. I mean, that one, so there are 2 aspects to that. Yours is, I have given you money. I need help with your product. Mine was, hey, I want to buy your product. I want to hire you and give you money. Please respond to me. Yours is a little different in that it's like, hey, we got your money. Fuck you. We got your money. We're not going to help you. With me, I mean, like, who doesn't want to take money? Apparently a lot of production companies.
Oh, that's almost. I've owned businesses for 10 years now, and I'll tell you that it comes down to most people are mediocre. That's just all it is. It's really what it comes down to. There's a lot of people.
Jake, you both met Jake.
Speaking of mediocre, no, I'm just kidding. Love Jake.
Years ago, that never came out, and I ask him about it occasionally, and he doesn't remember what he paid or if he paid it. But it was one of those things where he hired the production company. They came out, and they got along great because he was going to do some substances, and they wanted to do some substances, and they were all hanging out doing things. And it's like, that could have let you know they're not the most professional. It's great that they're buddy with you, and you're enjoying this evening, but they're supposed to be. And so he never got it. They're like, oh yeah, we're still editing it. Oh, we're having problems. Like, there was excuse after excuse, and I don't know. Like, if you only paid a deposit, but I don't think, either way, with mine, they came out, my guy actively, it was the greatest moment. I don't know how to best describe it. He was trying to put a camera behind the bar, and the owner was like, I don't know if we can put it there. He's like, what about here? And I've been a bartender, and I said, I don't know if you should put a camera behind the bar because, they're working there. And he goes, hey, dude, don't worry about it. If they tell you no, I'll take it, but get out. I'll fight so you don't have to. Like, I'll be the dick. And it was great because he got a camera where he kind of wanted it that was out of the way, and I was trying to tell him like, oh, don't worry about it, don't back off. He's like, no, let me get the shot for you. And I'm like, that's what you need, is someone that's gonna fight for you and be the bad guy and let me, like, I was sort of worried like, oh shit, they're gonna be mad because I hired this production company in and stomping all this shit. He was nice to her, but yeah, it all got worked out. It was great. They were super professional. I loved it.
Now, if you would have done it 2 years earlier and filmed it, do you think it would have came out with the same company? Do you think the material-wise wasn't ready at that point, technically? Or do you think 2 years ago you had it down, just maybe in a slightly different way?
It's never ready. Yeah. Your material is never ready. I tell one of the jokes now. I'm trying to slowly get rid of all the jokes on the special because they're out there. But I was doing one, and I haven't dropped them all. I was doing one, and you're on stage, you write on stage. You're talking, here's the joke, and oh shit, here's something funny, boom, and it gets this big laugh, and you're like, fuck, why didn't I say that in the special? So now a joke that's been recorded and is out there has an even better tag at the end, and that's all I came up with, was a tag. I think I put it early on too, like I did an accidental setup, and as I was talking, I'm like, why did I say that? Oh shit, it would go good. And I'm just talking, doing the joke, and then when I spit it, and it's just this nice moment that I wish I had on tape. So comedy's fluid. That's the nice thing about it, is it's fluid. You capture that moment, and then the jokes all change.
I was a musician, and that is the negative side, as you were, and that's the negative side of music, is you finish the song, and then 10 years later, you're like, I can do this so much differently and better now, but it's the song. The song is the song. Jokes can change all the time. You can see, if you want to go watch Andrew Dice Clay, you can watch some jokes from fucking 25 years ago and see how to hone that steel.
Yeah. Unless you're Fish or Grateful Dead with John Mayer, then those songs change, because the first song is 45 minutes, and you have to be stoned for that kind of goddamn thing.
Yeah, you do. It's tough with John Mayer because he's like he's like a Grim Reaper if he killed people with hacky sacks. That's what that guy fucking reminds me of. He's the worst. And he is so good at guitar, and which makes me mad, because why do I hate him so much then? And he likes watches. I love watches. Like, everything about it, that guy's so cool in every way besides he emanates dislike.
I remember hearing his first big hit. I'm like, this might be the whitest song I've ever heard.
Very breathy and white. What do you think of John Mayer, Wayne?
Yeah, he's all right. For some reason, every time I hear John Mayer, I couple him with Dave Matthews. And every once in a while, this video will pop up in my algorithm. It's been doing it for a couple years now, I think. Have you seen the video of Dave Matthews doing the crazy dance on stage?
Yes.
With the caption, Dave Matthews has no songs for him to be dancing like this.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's...
no reason for Dave Matthews to be dancing like this at all. I just thought about something. This just popped in my head with John Mayer. Here's why I don't like him. Zero accountability. I heard an interview with him. I don't know what podcast. I'm driving. I'm listening to everything. And talking about Taylor Swift writing songs about him. He's like, well, what she's not telling is her side, is that she was crazy. I'd give it a different personality every time I talked to her. And I'm like, she was fucking 19. You were 30. 19-year-olds are fucking crazy and emotional. I get it. Oh, hot 19-year-old. I'm not trying. It's just, dude, she's fucking 19. Of course she's crazy.
Yep, and John Mayer sucks, and Dave Matthews is awesome. So we got to try to figure out. And there's no one's ever said a bad word about Dave Matthews, I don't think.
No,
is it because he's bald?
Not only is he a genuinely good human being, he has the fucking best drummer in the goddamn world. My God, I'm not a huge Dave Matthews fan, but I just sit and like, oh, look at him play. Just backbeats, rhythms.
John Mayer would never allow a good drummer to be on his in his band. He just would not allow it. I would take away from him. But alas, so this is what we do. We peter out. We peter out as a show. That's how we like to end it. And Wayne goes, and he goes, and he says a question that you're gonna hate. Go ahead, Wayne.
No, maybe you will, maybe you won't. We talk a lot about how comedy is all about rhythm and timing and all that. Do you find that your music background has helped you with any of that? I know they're two different animals, but
great question.
Yeah, thanks, asshole.
Honestly, never ever thought about it. So I guess instead of answering, I'm just going to talk about Israel-Palestine for about 20 minutes.
Nice.
See, what people tend to forget, I've never thought about it. Maybe because, I was part of the rhythm section, bass and drums. I think what helped me more than anything is I learned early on that I never had a fear of public speaking. I learned it in 10th grade. I took speech class, and the very first speech we gave in speech class, they did alphabetical. So I'm Timmel, so I'm all the way at the end. And the first student speaker, the first person, was Sue Anderson, and she knows this story. We're still friends to this day. That she got up. She was this popular, pretty girl that everybody liked. I was a dirtball. Nobody liked me. And she got up in front of the class and turned beet red and started to stutter and was staring at her paper. And I just sat at my desk going, "Fucking everybody loves you. What the fuck are you afraid of these cunts for? Fuck them. I'm not afraid of them. They hate me. They all love you. What is wrong with you?" And so when it came time to give my speech, I was just like, "Fuck all you. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom." And the teacher was like, "You're a really good public speaker." I'm like, "Well, I have this natural apathy, I guess, or maybe I didn't have a natural apathy, and she kicked it in. Beautiful person, love her." I remember thinking that, like, there is no reason for you to be nervous about talking to these fucking assholes. These are our peers, and they're a bunch of booger picking. I know which one fucking, smokes cigarettes by the back. I'm not afraid of them. And then if I'm not afraid of my peers, why the fuck would I be afraid of a bunch of strangers? So to answer your question, I need to examine the musical angle to see if my cadence has any rhythm and flow to it. But I do know that never had a fear of public speaking, and I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, I saw that. I was Wayne's best man, and I did a speech for Wayne, and that was one of the first couple times I realized that I also didn't have a fear of public speaking. And I think the best way to describe it is an old Louis C.K. joke when he said, "When people are boring, I want to kill them, and that's not fair." And I think about that a lot when I see people who are bad at public speaking. I'm like, man, this is so fucking bad. Don't do this to people.
You reminded me of one of the worst comedians I ever worked with, and he's still out there.
Name names.
I guess he was big on Bob and Tom. I'll put enough out there that if anybody wants to fucking put on their Sherlock Holmes cap, they can probably figure it out. I didn't know who he was. I guess he was big on Bob and Tom, and he was headlining, and I was featuring. And it was a club. It was Wednesday through Saturday. Show up Wednesday, and he gets on stage, and it's just this. There are zero jokes. All I remember is like fucking yelling. The only thing I remember verbatim is, "What's with car alarms?" And then he just like did a series of noises, and it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And so the next day on Thursday, I go to lunch and I grab like a free local newspaper, like, "Oh, here's what's happening in town." And there's an interview with him, and he says, "I went to see a comedian once, and within 30 seconds, I was bored, just instantaneously. So what I like to do is I like to, keep the audience on edge by making a loud noise or jumping around a lot to keep them interested." And like that's exactly what I saw. You're admitting that you have no act, that you say, "What about car alarms?" And the funny thing is for every show, it worked for about 7 to 10 minutes. And then every time he'd cross that 10-minute mark, it was like, is this all it's going to be? Is just a lot of fucking shouting with no coherence? And yeah, I just, when you said bad public speaking or boring, that popped into my head.
It's funny. I used to be afraid of public speaking when I was in high school, and then I started DJing, Jack and Jill's and dances, things like that. And I came out of my shell in that sense. And then now doing the stand-up. And I have people say to me, like, "How do you get on stage?" And like, that's going to be nerve-wracking. And I always go back to an old Jerry Seinfeld bit where he talked about the number one fear of people is public speaking. Number 2 is death. Meaning that at a funeral, more people would want to be in the casket than giving the eulogy. So every time I'm up there, if I ever, I don't get nervous, but if I ever start to get a little like, "Oh, why am I here?" I go, none of these people want to be here. Meaning that no matter what you do up there, you're going to do it and look like whatever in front of these people because they don't want to be there. So
Yeah, I
don't
get
worry.
nervous though. I like the fear of public speaking and the nervousness. I think are two different avenues for me at least. Because like I don't have a fear of talking to people, but I get nervous all the time before shows for sure. And it's like a nervousness of like this is either going to go really well or really poorly, and a lot of it's not in my control. Fuck, and that's the nervousness that I have.
And the thing with public speaking is most of the audience, every so often you get a sociopath, but most of them want you to succeed. They show up in a good mood, ready to laugh, or any situation. Like, oh, I'm gonna go see a TEDx talk. I really hope the speaker's good. Like nobody's in there like I can't wait for this guy to fail. So yeah,
That's our job as comedians when we watch other comedians. I can't wait for this guy to fail.
well, comedians are a different bunch.
We have like really good comedians on who keep telling me stuff like, the first thing you gotta do is you can't get spiteful when people get stuff that you don't get, and you have to make sure that you understand that your time will come and all that. And I'm like, I want it to happen to only me. I want everybody else to fail, and I want everybody to get their tires slashed before the show, and I'm the only one there. And I don't know how to get myself out of that, but I like it. I really do. I won't stop.
Go with it. Fuck it. You brought up. There's no direct path to success. You got people that are complete fucking douchebags that step on everybody and make it to the top, and then you got the nicest people in the world. It's all fucking luck. It's all luck.
I want to be the first one to be a huge piece of shit, but I'll never step on anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just be, like, for no gain, I'll be a piece of shit. They're like, why does that guy even do that? It doesn't get him anything. I'm like, because fuck you, that's why. And that's going to be me.
I used to believe that lie about everybody getting their time, but I don't know. Time seems to be passing me by, so... What are you
I
gonna
know.
fucking do?
Who does that person ever met Wayne who said that fucking sentence? Like, everybody's going to get it. I'm just kidding. If I didn't fuck up saying the first part of that sentence, it would have been funny, but I fucked it up. There is something that if you stutter at all in the setup of a joke, move on to the next joke, right? Don't even finish it, because that's I think where I'm at. It's never
I
gone
see
well for
that.
me.
I mean, sometimes they'll let you start over if you just make a joke out of it. Like, wow, I really fucked that up. Let's try again. I don't know.
You
Well,
do
it's
that
kind of
before,
like
Wayne, right?
Steve York. We talked about with Amy T last week. Local headliner here, awesome guy, Steve York. First time I ever saw him live, he was working on a new joke, and he did it, and he didn't do it the way he wanted to. He said, "No, I'm working on this. Bear with me. I'm starting over." Wow. And everybody gave him that ability. And two people happened to walk in when he said that, and he goes, "I'm telling you guys this joke." And he did the joke again, and it was like 100 times better.
That would never occur to me to ever do that. That'd be like watching Game of Thrones, and in the middle of it, Jon Snow's like, "Hey, hold on a second, everybody. Just let me do that again," and then doing it again.
I think there's kind of a suspension of disbelief when you're watching a comic where, we watch some comics and it feels like they're just spitballing and saying things. But I think in the end of the day, we all know that everybody knows that it's rehearsed and it's, for the most part, planned on we'll say 90% planned what you're going to say. So I think when something like that does happen, I think people might respect that a little bit. Be like, okay, nobody's perfect. Let's do it.
And the movie Almost Famous, one of the best movies out there, there's a moment where I think Kate Hudson's character asks the kid, do you want to go with me? And he goes, yes. Wait, let me try that again. Yes. And that was him, the actor, saying, let me try that again. And then fucking Cameron Crowe left it in. He liked so much that the kid said, wait, let me try that line again, without saying that line, that he just left the whole thing in.
One of my favorite things like that is, I'm sure you're familiar with the movie Napoleon Dynamite. Are you serious?
You fucking
I'm
dumb
familiar
piece
with
of
it, but
shit.
Anthony, you know the
when I met my wife, I walked in on her watching the end of it, and I had heard of it, and I said, do they act like this through the entire fucking movie? And she goes, yes. I'm like, I want to hit them all with a baseball bat. I will never watch this movie. Fucking, I want to hit every single one of these people with an oar.
Go ahead, Wayne. Say how much you like it now.
I used to love it. But there's a scene in that movie.
Until Nate said that. Now I don't love it anymore.
No, I did used to love it. I haven't
My wife
watched it in a
hates
while.
that I shit on other people's joy. My wife hates that I shit on other people's joy.
What's the point of joy if you can't demolish it?
Thank you.
There's a scene in that movie where he signs up to like taste test like milk deformities or something, and there's this old farmer who has this really weird speech impediment, and he's just telling the story. You can't understand a fucking word he's saying.
Over there at that creek, man, I found a couple of soaps on the arrowhead.
And all three guys just staring at him, like drooling on themselves, like, what the fuck? I found out that scene was literally just the guy talking to the actors. That wasn't part of the movie. And it's just the way he talked. You can't understand a word he said. He was talking like they understood every word, and he's pointing over the mountains. And I love little things like that, like little bits of knowledge in movies and shows.
Oh my god! It's like, you know how you can't figure out the final punchline to end a joke. Wayne can never figure out the end of a sentence. He's always like, "I got a good point, but you're gonna by the end of it want to fucking kill me."
Well, I will say this: I found out recently. I guess it's an anniversary of the movie. I can't even think of the name of it again. What are we talking about?
Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite. I guess
that's probably why I saw that clip.
Yeah, Uncle Rico, I guess is a character. From what I understand, is the actor who played Laszlo in Real Genius, and that is a fucking great movie.
Well, you're gonna.
Yeah,
Wayne.
we gotta do another podcast. We'll do a watch party of Napoleon Dynamite with you. You can just shit on it the whole time. That'd be great. We just put it on the background, and we'll just have you commentate over it.
Well, this was before autism came out. That was the problem.
Who is he? John Hader? Is that his name?
John Hader, yeah.
John Hader. Because Napoleon Dynamite blew up, they're like, oh, he's a star now. And so he was in a movie with Mark Ruffalo and that chin girl, Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I can't remember what the movie is, but I remember when they started pushing it was, Reese Witherspoon, Mark Ruffalo, and John Hader. And I eventually saw the movie on he's in it for like 3 minutes. He plays the neighbor or something, but because he was blown up, they wanted to put him on the poster and like, hey, he's in this movie too. But he wasn't really. It was just one of those Hollywood things where, promote it for everything we can. We got Napoleon Dynamite guy. He's, kind of in the movie. I just thought that was funny when I saw it, that he's not really in it. He's got a fucking big credit on it. He's like basically an extra.
I know, they didn't even need to do that. They had Reese Witherspoon, too. You're right. This fucking sweet chin music, Reese Witherspoon. Remember when she was in fucking that Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix with that chin, too? Like, you could have eaten an entire bowl of Campbell's soup out of both of their chins. What a fucking movie that was. Oh, fuck. All right, we did it. This is the show and a worthy step, quest for laughs. But, however, if you want to learn more about Nathan, please go on his website, nathantimmel.com. I almost called you Kimmel. Sorry, buddy. It's just such a... It's better, most people say, instead of Eugenio, they say...
Kimmel is a relative. I'd have that gland handling. I'd have the in. I'd be on a show,
That's true. Well, it would be good. Well, so we also want to see Unapologetic. Idiots on Parade is the name of the podcast with Jake, right? So
Yep.
where else? What else could we see you?
Everything is at nathantimmel.com. You go there. I've got links to the special, to my T-shirt store. I've got blogs. I've got all the social medias. I post a video every single day. Don't try to start fights, but it happens anyway.
They're great for that, definitely. I like to pick fights with my wife using your videos. It's quite fantastic. It's a great way to do it. Like, see? This is what I think. Look at his face. This is what I think. Wayne, you got something else there? I hear you breathing. You trying to say something?
No, I got nothing.
I can always tell.
Other than this coming out Monday.
Monday.
Down to Providence, the Jake Speakeasy. Anthony and I will be opening for Matt P. Brown.
Oh, yeah. Come see us open for Matt Brown. Matt Brown is great. And you'll always know 5 seconds before Wayne wants to talk because his exhale is so long. Have a great night, everybody.
He was on every guy's okay if I have to list. Like, gun to my head, and I have to choose one, Brad Pitt.